I'd like to introduce Pat Burns, VP of Product Management, for today's presentation. Pat?
Thanks very much, Bobby. And especially I'd like to thank the attendees. We know you're very busy running your business, and so we're very appreciative that you can take some time out to listen to what we have to talk about and show you today. We're very excited as well. We've been working on this project for a year, and we've been focused on this strategy for longer than that. And I can tell you that the response and reaction from customers as we've been socializing, validating, and discussing this has been tremendous. So we're very excited to tell you some more about it. First, just a little bit of background on Autotask as a company for those of you who are not current customers yet. We are a global business. We serve customers in over 125 countries. We have 7 different language versions of Autotask. We have about 75,000 service organization users across our platforms. And you can see from some of the data, there's a really significant scale in terms of the footprint that represents in the IT channel. Tens of millions of tickets produced and resolved annually. We have over 9,000 service organization customers and almost 500,000 end clients that are touched and serviced by our platform. And you can see by the reference that to Fortune 500 that some of these companies are very significant. We're a growing business ourselves, and we will have 470 employees by the end of the year. Before I actually talk about the solution that we built and delivered, it's important to understand why it matters. And I want to provide just a little bit of background on some trends that are really significant in the IT industry right now. Every year we produce a benchmarking survey. It goes out to 1,000+ MSPs globally across all different demographics and market segments, not just our own customers. So it's very statistically significant and very representative of the market. Every year there's a high number of significant insights, but this year there were several sort of consensus takeaways that we thought represented the most important macro trends right now in the industry. Far and away, the #1 revenue driver indicated by our respondents was endpoint management. And I'll talk in a minute about why that should be no surprise to anyone. Similarly, the #1 client concern is endpoints in terms of security. It's very important to end clients that the different devices and production assets in their network and used by their employees are secure. And the majority of IT service organizations see continued meaningful growth in endpoint management. So it's important to note that this is a critical mass. It is more than half. It is a true statistical majority. It's also important to keep in mind that the other 45% still practice endpoint management, and many of them consider it a good opportunity for them, just not as rapid a growth opportunity as the others. And of course, that should be no surprise to anyone because we've heard a lot about the massive proliferation of devices in the IT landscape these days. Now, you hear a lot about sort of the media hype around Internet of Things, but really all that means is that there is a massive propagation of new devices, new device classes, new device types, and computing devices that previously were just mundane physical objects that are now networked with GPS, with computing sensors, etc. So the point is, all of these devices and endpoints need to be looked after. It's a significant opportunity for you, and actually finding where you fit into that niche is where you're going to see the biggest impact on your growth and profitability. And the takeaway from all this data, of course, is that IT service organizations that are focused on and practicing endpoint management will take advantage of this opportunity and thrive. However, I want to make an important point here. This might be the stage where someone's thinking, okay, let's just talk about endpoint management solutions. And the view that we have here at Autotask is that effective endpoint management goes much beyond the technical and purely service aspect of managing endpoints. It actually includes services in addition to devices. And so if you think about the managed services model, it's defined by the proactive stabilization of the computing environment, remote one-to-many labor delivery on that environment, so direct control. But of course, it's also based on specific defined service levels that are delivered to people and devices for a fixed price. And that means that it's not enough just to have control and information about the computing environment. You also have to have a system that works well with that endpoint management application that represents your service incidents. So all of these different incidents need to be assigned. We need to understand who's responsible, how much time did it take, who needs communication about it, how does it get billed, etc. And then, of course, you need all of that data flow back into analytics to understand how and why you're profitable. So the relationship between services and devices, and therefore the relationship between PSA and RMM, is more than just coincidental, is more than just arm's length. The view that we have here at Autotask is that these two solutions are more appropriate as a single unified platform due to their interdependencies. And this is actually the vision that we had from the time that we acquired CentraStage, our RMM/endpoint management solution. We really felt that there was an opportunity to do something different than the competition and add more value to customers. So really this is about not kind of cool technology for technology's sake, but an opportunity to focus on the use case, on the environment that our customers are in, and say, how do we add more value by creating a more unified experience between these two solutions? And the comparison I like to make here is that if you just think back 10 years ago, people carried around multiple personal devices that did important things. People would have a watch, a phone, maybe a digital camera, portable digital music player, maybe a portable GPS. And that's understandable because these technologies emerge separately for different reasons. But now that they all fit together in one device, which everyone has in their pocket, which is a smartphone, we can't imagine anything different. So what might that look like? And I think this single screenshot is the best overall representation of the vision that we have delivered to our customers on a unified service delivery and endpoint management platform. One of the things that people who know me well know is that I really hate cliches. And the text on the page here is a cliche, but it's appropriate here because I think this is an absolute, legitimate, credible example of delivering a unique way a single pane of glass. And if you quickly glance at the data that's on this dashboard that is taken from a live production code demo database we're using, you can see the combination of a lot of different information and metrics on a single dashboard that provides a snapshot of the business. So I can see general revenue and business performance metrics like my revenue coming this month and my profitability. I can also see, as you look across the top row, I can see my alert backlog trend. I can see just below that the total computing estate classified by device type. I can see to the right of that my service delivery service desk summary on all the service incidents. Below that, I can see incremental newly discovered assets by customer, so I can see which customers are growing in terms of not just revenue, but my support burden. Below that, I can see my machines classified by another attribute by operating system. I can see other business metrics like upgrade opportunities based on end of life, as well as my general sales performance this month. Lastly, in sort of the center, about 2/3 of the way down, I can see a composite view of my customer satisfaction grouped by my SLA performance. So again, for those of you that are stakeholders and managers, it's very easy to see from this single screenshot that I have all this information that helps me understand how I'm performing as a business. Before I go a little bit further to provide some detail, I want to provide a little bit more context. And so the typical approach to a PSA RMM integration, and there are many, many examples. In fact, we have 17 other than the one that integrates with our own endpoint management. And the point I want to make here is that this typical approach has value. It delivers efficiency, which is important. It removes some manual data entry. It's characterized by sort of a single alert to ticket creation workflow, a periodic timed asset discovery that brings basic information into the PSA about devices. It has a default alert workflow where all the alerts will flow into service desk. They can then be looked after. And of course, there's no consolidated reporting. What we're delivering, we believe, is substantially different and better for customers. And so we're talking about a much higher level of efficiency than the current approach. When I say integrated user experience, I don't just mean the platitude kind of vague, well, user experience is good. I mean specifically a user interface that integrates the data and advanced capabilities that were previously only accessed from an endpoint management or RMM application directly into the PSA interface. Makes it much, more productive for the techs. There's also a lot more intelligence and flexibility configuration around handling alerts. And as all of you know, alerts are not created equal, okay? And so having a lot of different rules to route and automate alerts differently is significantly important. Also single sign-on, which allows a secure kind of seamless navigation between products. We're also adding something we group together in what we call accountability. This is the real-time templated dashboards that provide very detailed, graphically oriented information about your devices and your alert activity, as well as a special use case we support which automates contract compliance, which is essentially making sure you're optimally billing end customers by associating all devices under management to a contract. And then on top of that, we have the unified cross-product analytics. And so I showed you some of that in the previous screenshot, and I'll show you a little bit more in a minute. This, of course, gives you the trending intelligence to make smart decisions about your business. And of course, the argument we're making here is that while the current approach of integration has value, it's not nearly tapping into the full opportunity. And the argument that we make is true unification delivers much more value faster and taps into that massive opportunity around endpoint management in today's IT landscape. Now, the next thing we like to think about is what's the business impact? So this is an important thing that we're doing. It delivers something unique. It allows our customers to take advantage of an important opportunity. But what's the real impact? And in product planning here at Autotask, that is what our focus is. We think about what's the business impact on the investments we make. And so I think about this in terms of what problems are we solving, okay? And we spent a lot of time speaking to our customers when we first acquired RMM technology to say, what are the problems you still need solved? Okay, one of those problems that we heard was there are, hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of tickets processed every month, and we want to reduce the amount of time our technicians spend on those incidents. It's a repetitive operational task, and they have a process for it. There are certainly some individual requirements, but we want to streamline that process. And by having this integrated interface with both data and advanced capabilities in one environment where the tech is already there because they have to document this issue, they have to update customers, they have to send it to billing, it greatly reduces the amount of time they spend on every ticket. And of course, technicians are problem solvers, so they want to solve problems, not administer software and navigate across products. Okay. Another problem is, as I described, optimal billing. And so what we've done is we've automated the process of billing compliance, and we've also provided oversight that makes it easier for you to make sure you're billing a maximum amount to your customers, an appropriate amount. The other interesting thing is that having all of this data and advanced capabilities from a end user, from a technician user standpoint in one interface, allows them to be more effective in delivering service as well as to resolve problems faster. But at the same time, they're doing it more profitably. And that's because you're both improving the effectiveness of your service and you're reducing costs by making techs more productive. The most strategic business impact that we see really is integrated analytics. And so there's really three key limitations in the current approach of not having unified analytics across your devices and your service delivery. The first of those problems is inefficiency, just having to look into two different systems, okay? The second is accuracy or consistency. It's quite possible you'll have conflicting data in those two systems. And I can tell you from in my 20-year career managing software, that causes some of the most stress I've ever seen business stakeholders have is when they actually don't know what's true, one set of data or another. The third limitation is really the lack of ability to see cause and effect between service activity, devices, and alert activity, okay? And so end customers don't really care how many systems you're using. That's your problem. What they want is they want effective service delivered cost effectively, and they want to know that all of their computing assets are ready to deliver value to the business all the time. And so by providing you with a unified platform and analytics that allow you to understand how you're performing and make those decisions, that's what your customers want, and that's how we're enabling you to deliver it. And, you know, the great thing is that I don't have to just tell you that I think this is great. You know, we have customers and users telling us what they believe about it. This is just an excerpt of some feedback from one of our early adopters from limited release. And again, you can see from this quote that what they're saying is, this is really meaningful to us. This really transforms our ability to deliver better service, a lower cost, more profitably, and grow our business. We are the only truly unified PSA and RMM platform right now. And so we think this is just an important thing in terms of leadership in the industry. And of course, it all comes under one roof from one company. So in addition to the actual business impact of the solution, you can consolidate your communication, your support, your implementation, your billing, etc. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to demonstrate this with 3 quick screenshots, and then my colleague Joe Rourke is going to spend a bit more time doing a live demonstration for you. So I'm going to just show you a few things that I think represent a really broad kind of depth of the solution. Okay, the first thing you see here is our default templated specialized dashboard that displays everything you'd want to know about devices. So I can see classified by device type, by brand. I can see my growth per month by type. I can see my user workstations broken down by operating system, which is pretty important. I can see, again, I had talked about the contract automation. I can see just those devices waiting for review on the far left here in the middle, which represents devices that have an active remote management agent on the device, but is not associated to a contract in my contract management module. Very important to understand that. You don't want to have to rely on someone remembering to run reports every week. All of those devices flow directly into this interface. Next, we can see the default templated dashboard on alerts. And again, you can see these broken down by every which way you would want to understand this activity from a service manager standpoint. By priority, what's open, different statuses, different device type classifications, different alert classifications, my alert backlog, etc. Now I'm going to quickly simulate as if I actually moused over a record in the widget on the left in the middle that says most recent alerts, and you can see here that there's an action menu that I'm highlighting here. Our dashboards are not just analytical tools. They have full drill down into all the records to allow you to take action on the items. So they're operational in addition to being analytical. So you can see here, I could immediately go in and take any kind of action I want on this alert, but then in the bottom left, you can see I actually have direct one-click access to the advanced capabilities on the device that's associated with this alert. This is an experience to the end user exactly as if they were already in the endpoint management application. They can open the detailed alert information, they can open the detailed device information, take screenshots, remote takeover, open the agent browser, etc. And so Joe is going to show you how that capability is integrated across all of the interfaces in Autotask that are associated with tickets, alerts, and devices. The last thing I want to show you from a screenshot standpoint is a special dashboard that we've created that takes a large number of additional device information that we are physically transmitting into the PSA database. So this is not just referencing or sending over data one time. This is residing in our database. Therefore, it can be leveraged by our entire business intelligence and analytics engine. We're now taking these information about devices that typically or traditionally was just technically oriented or service oriented, and we're presenting it in a business context. So I can see my upcoming warranty expirations. Those are business opportunities. You can see kind of in the middle, in the center row, upgrade opportunities where I'm just showing operating systems filtered by things that are end of life. You can see where I'm consolidating alerts and monitors to show my clients with the biggest recurring issues with regard to disk space, memory, etc. These are business opportunities you can now derive from your technical endpoint management tool. All right, I just want to quickly sum up here what the solution delivers. So seamless, secure, single sign-on for cross-navigation without any sending of credentials or syncing or updating of passwords. It just works. Complete real-time asset database. So again, this takes all of that device information and not just creating simple, basic records so that you know that device exists in the PSA, but massively detailed data that can then take advantage of the world-class analytics engine in Autotask, as well as be embedded throughout different interfaces in an operational engagement standpoint. The intelligent monitoring, again, optimized automated handling of alerts routed to different use cases in the PSA. If in your RMM solution, you don't limit it to just one monitor type, right? You have different monitor types for all the different use cases, device types, client needs. Therefore, you want to deal with those separately from a service delivery standpoint. Our new integration gives you all the flexibility to configure different custom workflows for those. The seamless technician workflow, again, a true unified cross-product user experience. You want your technicians solving problems and adding value to clients, not administering software, double logging in, duplicating data entry, etc. All of this happens in the same theater of operations they spend most of their time in because they're already documenting all their interactions with customers. Again, contract automation and compliance. This is two concepts, two benefits. It's both the productivity you get with automation and the added oversight you get by making sure that no one has to remember to review this. And then lastly, unified analytics. Again, I hate to use a cliche, but it is truly one view of the truth. No conflicting systems. The commingling of data that provides new insights based on interdependencies of service and device information, and a unified analysis of your business performance. Okay, this is all delivered from one company with the core competencies in terms of simple, intuitive, human-centric user interfaces, elastic scale that works for providers of any size and any growth rate. No need to spend time deploying new servers or waiting to implement. A pure SaaS experience from product delivery to customer support to business enablement in supporting your success. 100% cloud architecture built from the ground up, only and always, as well as world-class uptime and reliability, averaging 4 nines of uptime over the last 3 years. And as we said before, what this means to customers, I think, is really the proof point here, and that's knowing that they have a solution that takes advantage of this, that allows them to grow more profitably and faster, and knowing that this sits under not just the same roof, but under the Autotask roof. And we've established the confidence and equity we need with customers for them to understand that they can be confident in leaving this up to us. Okay, so that's all I have to say for now. I'm going to leave the fireworks to Joe Rourke, our Director of Product Management, and really kind of the guru and architect behind this strategy and the product design.
Okay, thank you, Pat. I'm going to take over as presenter here and share my screen. I mean, most RMM demos would start and initially focus in on alerts, and I'd like to start and talk about the business side, since Autotask is an IT business management platform. And we'll take a look at business intelligence, asset management, and contracts and revenue first. So if I go over to the Autotask system, this is what Pat showed was our AM analytics screen that we built to specifically drive business insights. Immediately, you can see what's going on in terms of the state of warranty expirations, what's expiring this month. Some of our gauges actually indicate when things are going outside of the norm if you're not keeping up with your activity. We'll also allow for you to segment the data the way you like. Here we have it by device type, so I can actually see which servers have expiring warranties. Now, upgrade opportunities are really a key piece for businesses. Devices running XP or Vista or a particular architecture, since we're sending all of the information on assets and alerts into Autotask, you can configure the dashboards to drive the business based on what your needs are. And these aren't just reports. Each one of these widgets allow you to drill in to get more information. So when you drill in, you can drill in and get additional information regarding specific, here we have Windows XP. So all of the assets that have Windows XP, I can bring those up, work on them, take immediate action. Now, we believe that there's typically an 80-20 rule in all of business. 20% of your assets will typically generate about 80% of your alerts. So dashboards can help you identify the 20% of those assets that are generating the most activity so you can take action. So as an example, you can leverage alert data and see which assets or which clients are generating the most alerts regarding disk space usage or memory issues. And each one of these represents a sales opportunity, but it's more than that. You'll not only get the money that comes from the upgrade of the hardware, but you're also reducing the ongoing service burden. You're getting less ongoing alerts when you actually do an upgrade to hardware. And when you identify the 20% of the assets that are giving you most of the work, you really have three choices. You can work with your clients to upgrade them. You can change your services around to charge for more based on the fact that you know that they're more difficult to support, or you can actually exclude them from your contracts, all of which will have a significant impact on your overall business. Now, I mentioned that these dashboards are configurable. Each one of these dashboards our customers create based on their businesses themselves. But if you go into actually something like this expiring warranties this month, they're very easy to configure. I can go in and actually change and say, really what I want to do is I want to see this by company, and maybe I want to see it as a bar chart. Save it, and basically I have a different representation where I'm not showing by device type. I'm seeing which clients have the most expiring warranties so that I can hit them all at once and actually go across all assets. So very easy to set up, very easy to configure based on your business. The next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about the overall assets that you might want to use. And I'll go over to the AM asset dashboard. And this is our dashboard, and it varies much differently than what most people will see. Most of the time when you're getting data from RMMs or tools, you'll get lists like this of assets. And the problem is that from a list, all you really often know is that there's 858 assets you have under management. So the power of dashboards is that you get an at-a-glance view of the assets you have under management. I can see from this default dashboard that we provide, which is a starter dashboard for everyone when they start using, is that I can see what I want to do, but I also can take and modify it. So I see assets by device type. I see managed assets by manufacturer, by operating system. And I can easily drill in and get further information. So if I actually went in and I wanted to take a look at, in this case, laptops, I can drill in and actually see the laptops that are associated that I currently have under management. And the top one here is actually an asset. It's actually my laptop. Now, Pat talked about some of the quick actions you can take immediately from the grids. And the ones that we've added here is that if it actually is something that has actually been discovered by AM, I can immediately go out and take quick action by opening the device in endpoint management or taking a screenshot, doing a remote takeover. I'm going to show you a lot more of that when we get over to the alerts in terms of that seamless workflow. But you have that available both on all the grids and one of the assets themselves. What I want to do here is I want to drill into this asset that happens to be my laptop and show you the data that we're bringing over in terms of the asset data that's now available right within Autotask. So we identified 18 pieces of critical asset information that we wanted to bring into Autotask so that it could be leveraged by your users. So from this actually provides context about the asset. So when someone is supporting it either from the ticket or from the dashboard or from the report, they really know what they're supporting as opposed to just a generic laptop. And I can see from this description, this is a Dell, it's running Windows 7. I can see what storage, what memory it happens to use. I also have information about the internal IP address. And what's important is that if there's any changes that are made on the asset itself, AM will immediately update Autotask with this information. And it's all this information that can be used in reporting and in your dashboards to actually provide better service and drive more business. You'll also see is that anytime you're in an asset, you also have those same actions here to take quick action. So I could do right from this, I could do a remote takeover of that asset that happened to be on. So in addition to basically classifying assets, we also show trending information. And here you see incremental devices by month. One of the best indicators of alert activity that's going to be coming up next month is how many incremental assets you discovered this month. So in many ways, these are management tools that you can plan for performance based on what new assets are coming in. Now also, if you've identified those 20% of assets that are creating most of your alerts, you can be looking at what newly discovered assets fall into that category and get proactive about dealing with and upgrading or associating the right people to those assets. Now, many service providers, I want to talk about the new devices waiting contract review because associating your assets to contracts and getting properly paid for the support of those assets can often be a time-consuming chore for a lot of managed service providers. Oftentimes at the beginning of every month, they may go out to a remote monitoring tool and do an inventory of assets and then go through and modify their contracts to make sure that they're all under the contract. What we wanted to do is we wanted to simplify that. We actually wanted to make sure that it wasn't time-consuming or error-prone or leaving money on the table. And this widget right here is the answer for that. What we're presenting is all any new devices that have been identified by AM and brought over to Autotask that still need a contract review. And when you drill into, and I had this by device type, but it could be by customer or any other information because the widgets are configurable like that, you can come in and actually look at the assets that are awaiting review and then go to what is called configuration item mapping, where you can map configuration items to contracts and to contacts and to services. So think about it, it's like really you want to only touch that asset one time when it's discovered. And coming in, you want to identify specifically, is it something that's going to be under contract? Which specific contract do I want to put that under? You also want to identify, is there a contact that it's associated to and associate the contact? When you identify this information along with the service bundle, you're doing two things. You're basically immediately modifying your contract to actually show that this is under support. You're not waiting to the beginning of the next month. If it's discovered on the 10th of the month or the 15th of the month, you're getting the prorated billing revenue for the remainder of the month when you're actually starting the service. You're also associating the contract and the service so that any of your technicians, whether they're coming in from the side of managed services, or they're coming in terms of a service request, they understand, number one, that they should be providing the service and what level of service is required. What they're also doing is they're getting information about the contact. So if a contact calls in, they're often not going to be providing you their specific device. Providing the contact information allows them to actually associate this to the device, know the devices on a per end user basis of who's being supported. And you can even get into more granular work in terms of workflow automation to identify, assets by the particular user. The asset, the laptop of a CEO may be very different than the laptop of someone else. Understanding the relationship between assets and the people that are using them can be very important in terms of your service quality. So this is really kind of the one area where you touch it once, you get the billing, you get better support. And we provided that again as a standardized widget that's on the dashboard itself. Some of the other graphs you can kind of see, every once in a while you can see these are real-time dashboards that are being updated immediately every minute. So you're basically getting an update here of the information. So some of the things that might be important to many of you, and it's out of the box, we're showing incremental devices by month by the type of device. So you can kind of see it trending. Or you may be interested in managed devices installations by manufacturer, and then basically drilling and being able to drill in and take action. Desktops by operating system. Here's kind of an interesting one. It's basically top devices with critical alerts over the last 90 days. What's been, and allowing you to drill in and actually drill information from it, or showing me basically the assets by account, who has the most assets under account. Basically all the ways in which you may choose to segment out your asset-related information. So we talked about the business side, which is kind of very important, and I'd like to talk about the service side, and we'll take a look at alerts. We'll talk about the seamless workflow and the impact also that this has on the service desk portion. So if I go over and I actually switch over to our default AAM alerts dashboard, one of the things that when you're often dealing with a bunch of alerts, you really want to have, you really need an easy way to understand what needs your immediate attention. And this is different this can be very different for many organizations, but out of the box, what we're providing is a way to get a quick view, if you have a lot of alerts, of basically what the status of both alerts happen to be. So think about it. What's new? What's overdue? What's critical? With the counters. And you can provide both an alert dashboard for the overall organization, and individual technicians can have their own individual alert dashboard, either separately or integrated with their service tickets. I show open alerts by priority. And then because we're also sending over, updating when we get an alert, information about specific monitor types, some additional details regarding alert, you can classify your dashboards based on what is associated with memory issues or CPU, or maybe you want to know server issues or server issues with disk-based problems. You really can configure it yourself. Now, I'll talk a little bit about some of these alerts. You'll see this, but I also can see grids where I see most recent alerts. And one of the things that we like to point out is that you don't have to drill in a lot to take action. Right from a widget here that's showing a grid, I can go over and I can say I want to open up an agent browser, for example. Or what I could do is I could go in and say what I want to do is I want to go over and open up the device. And by opening up the device, I will get over here a summary of that device where I'm actually over in AEM. Now, one of the things that Pat pointed out is the single sign-on capability, which is basically configurable if you want to use it or not, allows you not to have to relog back in. So you get a seamless environment of workflow that I'm working in the PSA, but now I'm going in and either I'm taking a takeover of the device, or I'm going in and I'm opening up that device in AM, where maybe I want to do is I want to look at the audit of information. I want to take a look at what software is on the device, or what change log has happened, or I want to actually run a script that's on the device. So I did that immediately from drilling in directly from a grid within the system. Now, you also have the capability when you're within one of these systems to actually drill down into a specific alert. And I'll do that right now, and of course, what's the first thing you always want to do? You want to drill into your critical alerts. So I'm actually drill into a critical alert here and show you how alerts are created in tickets in the Autotask system. I have this one ticket which is critical, and again, you have all the capability to take immediate action from the grid, but I'm going to drill into the ticket and talk a little about the updates that we did to the ticket to actually make it easier for people to get some insight and take action and get directly over to AM if necessary. So I immediately come in and we have a specific type of alert called alert. It's a ticket type called alert, and I have an action to open up the endpoint management alert immediately on the ticket. We did some specific things of updating both the title along with the description to provide as much information as possible so that when someone opens up a ticket, they know what's going on. So in terms of the description, I understand that what the trigger and what the policy that drove it. I have information regarding the asset and the manufacturer, who last accessed the device and why. What we also decided to do is we provided some additional information regarding what's been going on with the device. So what were some of the key information we could add as notes directly when you get an alert that would tell you a little bit more about what's going on with the device. So the first thing we provided was a device snapshot. And the device snapshot gives you a view of, at the time the alert was creating, what was the CPU usage, what was the disk space usage, the memory usage, how many missing patches are sitting out there. At the time, I've now corrected it, but my laptop had 18 missing patches. But I get that information at the time the ticket was created, so I can take and get some context of what's going on. What also occurs is that there's two other notes that are being automatically created, and that is open alerts and alert history. If I'm working on one alert, it's very important for me to understand, are there any other open alerts at this time associated with the device? So in this case, are there other open alerts for disk usage or file system or security center that I want to know about, so that when I'm working on this alert, I'm also understanding that there's a bigger issue that's associated to it. Additionally, it tells me information about open alerts that are across the company. So this company has other alerts that I want to know about. So that gives me kind of a broader view. Maybe this alert is systematic across a number of assets. I get that information that's being sent to me right within the ticket. And then I also get an alert history of what was on this asset, what's been the alert history in the last 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days. Is this something that I never get an alert on, or is this something that's generating alerts a lot of the time? And I should be going down and looking at kind of a root cause of what's been occurring. The last note that you'll see here is actually something that we've added to reduce a lot of the noise that sometimes can happen when you have a system that is creating tickets based on alerts. And this says that it's a related alert. Related alerts are when an alert is created within a specific period of time for an asset, but a different monitor type. So basically this is telling me that there may be something that I want to take a look at associated with another alert that I can actually drill in and take a look at that ticket. I may be solving both at the same time. We also have what are called repeated alerts, that if the same monitor triggers within a certain period of time, you can configure this in the AAM system. I only want to create a note. I don't want to create subsequent tickets. Really important for you to be efficient, for you not to have a lot of noise about alerts just being randomly generated, but to consolidating and showing the ongoing relationship. Any alert ticket will also have a section which has the configuration information. So here's my laptop again. And again, always providing the ability of taking the quick action going in. You're talking to an end user, you want to take that action. Now, the last thing that we want to talk about, and since I'm here, I'll say it and I'll show you the service desk as well, is that the integration with AM also helps when actually a customer's call in from a service-related issue. Because when you create a ticket and a customer has a problem with their laptop, you're associating the laptop and providing all of the details regarding the configuration information. So they have, again, the context of operating system, that information. But they also can do the remote takeover, not simply in the case of it being an alert that's being generated by AM, but they can also do it to improve the closing of service-related tickets and incidents that are coming in as reported by your end users. I go back to the dashboard, just kind of highlight some of the other kind of information that's on here. I mean, open alerts by top customers. So I can actually see here in terms of it which customers have the most open alerts. Kind of more of a sales-related funnel that's kind of showing you information. Again, because we're bringing in information regarding monitor types, what's been offline, what has disk usage problems, and then I can also go in and segment out server alerts by the monitor type and actually drill in. So I really know of the open server alerts, which ones are dealing with file versus CPU versus disk space, or for laptops, and kind of drill into the ones that are having security problems. Much like Service Desk, we also can track created versus completed alerts over the last 7 days, over the last 30 days, so that you're seeing whether or not you're keeping up with the overall backlog. So did I have a spike of alerts? Am I closing them out, or is my backlog increasing? In terms of Service Desk, the last thing I'll do is I'll bring up a Service Desk screen, and your alerts can be integrated, either can be separate or integrated directly into your overall service screen. And these are service tickets. Again, one of the things that we've seen on the service side, and we're seeing also with integration with AEM, is that this view is both a manager view. It's a technician view that they can do so that they're aligned to the priorities, but it's also something that you can use with our wall boards so that you're putting it up on a big screen within your service center. So people are seeing what's being done, and often some of our customers are calling those kind of accountability dashboards. And then I'm not going to show it to you, but I'll finish up by saying that all the data that you see regarding the assets are available for workflow automation, for routing to specific queues and to specific users that need to be focused in on it. The information is also available in terms of unified reporting, both in notifications and by report. So when you have a notification and something comes in about an alert, you're out to dinner with family, you get an email notification, you look at it. It's important to know what the asset information is, and those kind of keynotes that are telling you, what was going on with the device or the alert history allows you to understand whether or not it's something that needs to be addressed right away. And the final thing I'll say is that we've set this up all to be easy to set up. We have standardized dashboards you immediately just activate within Autotask, and we have one screen within AEM that you basically set up all of your configuration information. So people really take about 15 minutes to set up their initial configuration. They're up and running with the advanced integration.